We have one question that always comes up, and that is behind all the other questions and problems that we face. And this question isn't actually voiced or put into words often, and put into words, the significance of it may not be immediately appreciated. The question is about reality, and the question is if reality is bifurcated or simply chaotic. And this means, is it composed of two parts, or is it just a bunch of different impressions with no particular order or significance to it? This question can be answered. So what we're asking here is if reality gives us two fundamental options to choose from, or an unlimited smorgasbord of relative possibilities. Our minds seem able to compare only two things at any one time. Conceptually, we are able to grasp only two distinct alternatives out of any class of things or objects that we're contemplating. Our minds always appear to give us two paths, two groups, two realities, or perspectives to choose from. However you wish to say it or think about it, polarization appears to be part of our thinking, as if it's built into our minds. If it's not actually part of nominal reality, that is reality as it really is. If we accept that our brain is trying to tell us there is one division in reality and a bipolar choice that is available to us, and that this organization or facet runs through all classes of things like white and black, up and down, and so on, the two options are incompatible opposites, such as east and west, good and bad. If the options are not divisible and governed by the law of the excluded middle, they do not exist as distinct choices. In other words, east and west have to be two divisible options with no middle choice, or they're not really choices. If you cannot see these two choices as distinct, then you would have only one choice. Now you may see reality as composed of a meaningless array of relative options, none of which have any special significance, yet you will undoubtedly still be plagued with the idea that there is a truth and an ideal against which all of these relative and partial truths can be compared. In other words, your assertion that there is only one reality is a reality that you hold to and defend against all other interpretations. Therefore, you are making a self-conflicting statement. You're saying there's only one reality, and yet you admitting that there's your reality and all the ones that you are arguing against. Logically, then, if you're not a supporter of the dual reality hypothesis, you are a cultural relativist. Those who reject the dual model of reality see only one reality of many different graded options, none truly better or greater than the others, but each having their good and bad characteristics. Cultural relativism is a fabrication of liberals and a part of liberalism. The liberal perspective is founded on a relative view of reality. Liberals talk in terms of ultimate reconciliation between all of the disparate elements of the society, that is, of all the different opinions that society has, the things that divide us. They see the divisions in society as a mistake of perspective and of wrong priorities. Liberals prioritize freedom, and they are believers in democracy. This means intellectually they have no basis for making value judgments. Of course, they do make value judgments, nevertheless. Cultural relativists believe in live and let live as a philosophy. Liberal politicians argue we need to find ways of getting along with one another. The left believes in diversity and they tend to be emotional. The left are people with strong opinions, but low on logic. Opinions are based on emotions, not logic. What one feels strongly about, one has strong opinions on. Given enough power, the holder of the opinion can codify their opinion into law. Socialism is emotions that have given rise to opinions that have been formulated into laws, and this creates a social agenda. Laws regulate society based on an attempt at catharsis by cultural relativists. In the old days, kings would vent their rage by creating draconian laws. Killing people and waging wars is only a bigger step towards the emotional release of one's demons than can be taken by us lesser mortals. Common man must resort to murder and pulling wings off of flies to vent his rage. Life for the left consists of attempts to validate the content of their emotions after 6,000 years of progress and innovation. What have we arrived at? Trudeau and Biden are leaders of our countries, and we have two royals bitching how unfair life is to a billionaire who is an intersectional victim. And do you still think the system works? Governments only share pies. Someone has to bake the pie first. The left is formed of people who believe the smart thing to do is to sit and wait for their slice of the pie. The smarter ones of the left expend their energy justifying their victimization and claim to a bigger slice of the pie through the use of the aforementioned intersectionality agenda. Cultural relativity is the weakness of democracy specifically, and the left generally. If one dissects and analyzes the left, one realizes they have an Achilles heel. It is not possible to share a pie that has not been baked. The left will always be dependent on the productive activity of others. However, due to their inability to lay claim to a superior position and their cultural relativism, they cannot claim it is better to bake a pie than to simply freeload. The pie bakers we can call the right or conservatives. Not all conservatives are actually on the right. Capitalists, for example, will often seek handouts from the state and claim what they did not create. This is why we have adopted the moniker of messianic to denote a person on the right that abjures all freeloading and all largesse and all government regulation of all kinds. Messianics reject the necessity of law, but not of organization. We reject the status of subjects for ourselves, but not the need for value choices. We need to be organized, but we do not need law and lawmakers to decide the structure of our organization. Messianics are free market purists. We forgo all government regulation and oversight. We might be mistaken for anarchist, were anarchism not a philosophy that was adamantly opposed to organization of all kinds. Messianics is an organized body based on God's order and the supreme authority of justice. Our mode of organization is based on the golden rule, the free market, and the principle of subsidiarity. If ownership is ordained by God, and authorship a process in which man is made in the image of God, then emotion which leads to law serves to systematically destroy all of this, and it must be predicated on a different master's existence. God is logos, and Satan pathos. If God's justice is not our foundation and the key to understanding our communities, if we do not use ownership as the basis of our justice, then what are our laws based on? The only foundation left is our emotions. And what governs our emotions? This is the question we need to answer for ourselves. Emotions are not founded in logos or logic, and they are not logical. That which is not logical cannot be tied to God. One thing more to consider. If you think there is only one reality, then you must claim there is an absolute truth, and that man can know it. If you truly believe this, if you truly believe how you think has validity, and that all other views are wrong, then you actually possess the view that there are two realities. To claim there's only one right way to think about reality, then you claim there is the true reality, the one you know, and all of the fake positions that you claim are not true. So which view do you hold? Do you think your reality has no truth to it, and the same is true of everyone else's view? Or do you think there are two realities? Is there a true viewpoint, and there are views of those who do not know the truth, or there are only opinions, none of which matter? If you believe in what is not true, who gave you these lies to believe in? Who is the father of lies? Why do you believe you must travel at 60 miles an hour in this part of the earth if there is no objective way to prove you must do this? If this is the truth, why must you hire armed men to enforce a randomly generated regulation based solely on opinion? What have you to validate law but emotional responses to triggering events? Upon this, you hope to regulate society? Where does law come from? God told us to live in faith, to live as a body with many parts and specialities. God said we are equal. No one is above the other. We are to serve one another, not lord it over one another. Yet some are lawmakers, and others are turned into subjects. If, when we lose personal autonomy and are governed by forces beyond us, we are said to be possessed, what are our communities when governed by laws that are not organic to them? Laws possess us corporately, as demonic forces possess us individually. Justice exorcises the law from the body politic. Justice is founded on ownership and mediated through free markets. Without ownership, we cannot have free markets. Without free markets, we have laws. If we have laws, we need lawmakers. If we have lawmakers, we do not have free markets. Without the free market, ownership as authorship is precluded. Until we divest our communities of lawmakers, we cannot have free markets. And until we have free markets, we will be possessed by law, and he who gives rise to the process by which law is brought about. Thank you.